Most Americans would be familiar with the name George Washington, who lived around 1750, 1776. How much did we know about geology in 1776? Well, men began to study geology very recently. And some fella lived in Europe near the Po Valley in northern Italy, assigned a name to what he theorized was a period in the Earth's geologic past, and he called it Quaternary, meaning fourth. It was introduced by Jules Desnoyers in 1829 for sediments in France's Seine basin that seemed clearly to be younger than Tertiary period rocks. The Quaternary period follows the Tertiary period and extends to the present. The Quaternary covers the time span of glaciations classified as the Pleistocene and includes the present interglacial period, the Holocene. And what did you just hear? Are we in an ice age? The term Quaternary, meaning fourth, was proposed by Giovanni Arduino in 1759 for alluvial deposits in the Po River Valley in northern Italy. The term Quaternary was introduced by Jules Desnoyers in 1829 for sediments in France's Seine basin that seemed clearly to be younger than Tertiary rocks. I don't want to bore you. I just want to show you what Al Gore doesn't know. The Quaternary period follows the Tertiary period and extends to the present. The Quaternary covers the time span of glaciations classified as the Pleistocene and includes the present interglacial period, the Holocene. The 1.5 million years approximately of the Quaternary represents the time during which recognizable humans existed. Over this short a time period, the total amount of continental drift was less than 100 kilometers, which is largely irrelevant to paleontology. Nonetheless, the geological record is preserved in greater detail than that of earlier periods and is most relatable to the maps of today, revealing in the second half of the 20th century its own series of extraordinary landform changes. The major geographical changes during this period included emergence of the Strait of Bosporus during glacial epochs which respectively turned the Black Sea and Baltic Sea into fresh water, followed by their flooding and return to salt water. Why? By rising sea level, the periodic filling of the English Channel forming a land bridge between Britain and the European mainland, the periodic closing of the Bering Strait forming the land bridge between Asia and North America, the Great Lakes and other major lakes of Canada and Hudson Bay are also just the results of the last cycle and are temporary. Following every other ice age within the Quaternary, there was a different pattern of lakes and bays. The climate was, don't say that word. Climate, well, I don't know what else to say. The climate was one of periodic glaciations with continental glaciers moving as far from the poles as 40 degrees latitude. Few major new animals evolved, again presumably because of the short in geologic terms, duration of the period, Quaternary is short. There was a major extinction of large mammals in northern areas at the end of the Pleistocene. I bet you people might have done that. I don't know. Many forms such as saber-toothed cats, mammoths, mastodons, and glyptodonts became extinct worldwide. Others, including horses, camels, and cheetahs, became extinct in North America. Glaciation took place repeatedly during the Quaternary. Glaciation took place repeatedly during the Quaternary, the Ice Age, a term coined by Schemper in 1839 that began with the start of the Quaternary around 2.5 million years ago and continues to the present day. In 1821, a Swiss engineer, Ignaz Venetz, presented an article in which he suggested the presence of traces of the passage of a glacier at a considerable distance from the Alps. This idea was initially disputed by another Swiss scientist, Louis Agassiz, but when he undertook to disprove it, he ended up affirming his colleague's hypothesis. A year later, Agassiz raised the hypothesis of a great glacial period that would have long-reaching general effects. The idea gained him international fame and led to the establishment of the glacial theory. In time, thanks to the refinement of geology, it has been demonstrated that there were several periods of forward and backward movement of the glaciers, and that past temperatures on Earth were very different than today. In particular, the Milankovitch cycles are based on the premise that variations in incoming solar radiation are a fundamental factor controlling Earth's climate. Boys and girls, I've been saying much of this on YouTube for well over a year. I've been saying that the Earth is warmed by the sun, that solar radiation appears to be variable, not very long in geologic terms. The Earth was covered much more extensively with glacial ice, extending down into the middle of present-day United States. That same ice is what carved the Great Lakes, for example. And now there's no ice on the Great Lakes year-round. During the Quaternary period, substantial glaciers advanced and retreated over much of North America and Europe, parts of South America and Asia, and of course all of Antarctica.